Need for Speed Payback, Speed Cross DLC. BOURNE, why have you not updated any videos covering it? BOURNE, you're supposed to be one of the Need for Speed guys, you know, you were dropping all sorts of information before the game dropped out. Why have you not put your review on it? Why have you not put your stamp on it? Why have you not shared your thoughts to the world? Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. First and foremost, allow me to apologise for what may appear to be an apparent void in my normal posting schedule. As you saw from the title, I've had a few thoughts going through my head over the past week in relation to Need for Speed Payback, and these thoughts all stemmed from when I downloaded the Speed Cross DLC. So as soon as the Speed Cross DLC was announced to the world, I downloaded it within 24 hours and I thought, this looks pretty interesting, looks pretty good. Let's stick on the old Xbox, download what was a huge update in fact, to be quite honest, and gave it a little spin. Now in all honesty, I enjoy it. I think it's a really fun addition to the actual game, and as others have already said, it's just something that extends your playtime within the actual game itself, gives you something to do, gives you something to keep you entertained, especially if you like car X based stuff. The issues began when looking for and finding one of the missing cars. Obviously we've all seen the footage with people like Pants and other YouTubers out there getting the RX-7 and obviously getting involved into a cop chase, and therein lies the problem. It was a free roaming cop chase. Free roaming cop chase being the key words. Free roaming, those two words, free roaming, very important. It felt different, no set path, no set guidelines whatsoever. You are the navigator, you are the holder and bearer, gatekeeper, if you will, of your own destiny in terms of how you get away from the cops. Now I had a huge problem with this. The problem was I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. This feeling of enjoyment, this feeling of satisfaction, this impulsive feeling of sheer excitement then very quickly turned to one of annoyance, anger and irritation when I realized that I am playing a feature that really and truly should have been a part of the game from the very beginning. Now granted, we all knew that they weren't going to have free roaming cops. It's not new. I obviously knew this because I was one of the people that put out one of the most vocal videos criticizing, hammering and bashing them about it. However, the issue I have now is you've given me something, but you've not added it to the real game. You've teased me. You offered me a cake and I like the cake. You offered me a slice of it, you then took it away and I can't get it back again. So now what you've done is you've emphasized and underlined a void that I already knew was there, and now it's in big bold capital letters to make things even worse. It started to change my thought process towards how I was going to put this video out, because then what I started to think about was other elements as well that may or may not have been added to the game but weren't at the game from launch. Things like missing cars. If you go back and look at the car list that I put out for Need for Speed Payback, I covered classic muscle cars, I covered supercars, hypercars, JDM, pretty much almost every single type of car that was actually in the game. A lot of the cars that I put in that list came directly from the wiki page. Now, granted, the wiki page is never 100% accurate, but for the most part, it normally is. Now, the RX-7 was not a car that was actually on that list as a car that was confirmed in the game before launch. However, it was seen in some of the pre-release footage. Now, the Need for Speed community manager put out a statement confirming that the car, along with some other cars, were just not ready yet, hence their delay in them being launched. Now, as I said, there are going to be certain elements that I'm going to be talking about that have been released post-launch, like the RX-7. But where is the Pontiac GTO judge? Where is the GTO judge? Where is it? I know it's supposed to be in the game and it's not here. There's no news on it, there's no information, nothing whatsoever. If anyone has seen it in any of the game files, if anyone has a way of somehow magically making it appear, if any of you have actually spotted it as one of the actual AI cars in the open world, let me know, because I'd like to know what we're doing. What are we doing with the judge, guys? What are we doing with the GTO judge? Has it been scrapped from the game, or is it just another car model that just isn't finished, or are we just holding it back for some sort of later DLC pack like we've done with the RX-7? Who knows? One of the other criticisms that people were labelling on Need for Speed Payback was the fact that when it was launched, it was not launched with any support whatsoever for wheels. Those of you who have got full rigs set up with your Thrustmasters and your Logitechs, these people were the most vocal in complaining that there was no support for their hardware whatsoever. Now, that has been fixed, that has been rectified. Ghost have sorted that out. The game does now have wheel support, but again, it was another feature that was not in the game from launch. It wasn't in the game from launch, it wasn't there. Free roaming multiplayer. Yes, I know you can do it by glitching. I know there are glitches that are flying around all over the place that enable you to do that. Listen, you shouldn't have to glitch your way into free roaming multiplayer. Just because you can glitch your way into it, that doesn't mean that it's a feature of the game. If you've got when you glitch something, when you glitch software, you're basically breaking the coding. You're breaking the software. Some may even call it reverse engineering of the actual coding itself. The point of the matter is, you should not have to do that in able to get that function of the game to work. Once again, it's a feature of the game that I'm guessing wasn't ready, because I can't for the life of me see in my head, it doesn't make sense to me as to why you would purposely make a game that doesn't have that. I just think it's not ready. Still, they're probably still perfecting it. And again, I put a video out on this. And last but not least, no free roaming cops. Now, just to be clear, I mentioned earlier on that the Speedcross DLC gives you the opportunity to get away from free roaming cops. It's not free roaming in a sense of you're driving around the open city and boom, the cops just come after you because you've done something minutely law breaking. It's still triggered. The actual cop chase itself is still triggered by you. However, the free roaming part is the fact that you are free to roam wherever you want in your getaway. And this is exactly how the model has worked in previous Need for Speed titles when it comes to getting away from cops in the open world, as well as getting away from cops as part of missions as well. So again, it's another chunk of the game missing. The problem that you've got here is when you start to add all of these chunks up, because I've just listed 4 now, 4 that weren't there from launch, you end up with a game that's pretty much unfinished. Now, I work in an industry whereby I see software updates happening on a regular basis. If you're a regular follower of my channel, if you follow me closely, then you would have heard me mention numerous times that I work in the mobile phone industry and have done for a very long time, and have done for various different manufacturers. Nowadays, it's nigh on impossible for a mobile phone device to be released to the public without there being software glitches, software bugs, software problems. Need for Speed Payback is littered with software glitches. You've seen some of them in some of the videos that I've played. Look at the last video that I uploaded. The AI was just disappearing mid-race. You take the lead and all of a sudden all of the AI behind you just disappears, so it turns into a time trial. Look at the video I dropped before that, where somehow in the middle of a mission involving Jess, she just appeared on top of my car, standing as if she was trying to commit suicide. Believe it or not, things like that don't bug me, they don't bother me. Excuse the pun, bug, see what I did there with the words. I don't have an issue with things like that because I know they're just glitches in the software that can be fixed. My biggest issue is when you've got sections of the game missing, and I realised this when playing the Speedcross DLC, just how bad it really is in relation to Payback on this matter. What I also realised was that by me not putting out this video and talking about this in a critical way, I would be a hypocrite, a huge hypocrite, because this is the very reason as to why I criticise Gran Turismo Sport. When Gran Turismo Sport was in the run-up to its actual release, obviously we started to learn and started to find out that there was no single player GT mode, and it was all going to be solely purely an online experience, something which the casual fan and to a degree a small portion of the hardcore fans were not happy about. I've got a real problem with products being pushed out that have huge chunks missing. The game was launched at a time when certain cars within the actual game itself had not been finished. The game was launched with no wheel support. The game was launched with no free roaming multiplayer. The game was launched with no free roaming cops. The game should have been pushed back. It should have been pushed back. I honestly, truly believe that the game was released too early. And the reason why I say this is, unfortunately, we live in a very harsh environment when it comes to social media. It's like going to a job interview. You know the old saying, make sure that you dress smartly, make sure you articulate yourself well, whether or not you're going for a job interview or a uni interview, college interview, whatever, because the impression that you make, the first impression that you make is the impression that lasts, unfortunately. So if you go in there, if you turn up late, then the snapshot that people have of you is that you're not a punctual person, even if you normally are. If you start cracking inappropriate jokes during the interview process, even if you're someone who's normally serious, they're going to see you as a clown. They're going to see you as a buffoon, whatever, you know what I mean. The issue Payback has got is that all the people that done the reviews, and when I say people that done reviews, I'm not talking about the independent YouTubers like myself. I'm talking about the big media tycoons such as IGN, such as GameSpot, people like that. They only give these games one chance only. You give them the game, they do their review, and they review the game on its current state. It's highly unlikely that they're going to go back and re-review the game. The problem is that a lot of people obviously feed in and buy into those reviews when they're put out. Now, obviously, we know that I've got a problem with the way Payback was initially reviewed. I didn't like it. However, what I must say is that while I do not agree for the reason upon why they gave the game the score that they did, I agree with the score. I do. I now agree with the score, but not for the same reasons. The main reason why I agree with the low scores upon which the game has been given is because it's an unfinished product. They should have pushed the game back. They should have done what the Crew... If you look at the Crew as an example, let's just look at the Crew. The Crew 1 is a good game. It's a very fun game. And it's a game that has a hell of a lot of longevity. That's the reason why 3 years down the line, there are still people playing that game. There are still people actively playing the Crew 3 years after its release. Now, the issue that the Crew has got is that it was damaged. It damaged itself. Ubisoft, Ivory Tower I should say, released a game whereby graphically it looked a mess. It looked a mess. But what they did was they done a huge graphics overhaul to improve the actual visual quality of the game. The handling model, it was a mess. It's still not perfect, but again, they overhauled the whole handling model. This was all done during the existence of the Crew 1. Problem is though, is that a lot of people, after initially playing the Crew, within the first 6 months of it coming out, were irritated, cheesed off, hacked off, and abandoned the game, and have not gone back since. I still see comments today saying that the Crew is graphically poor, the handling is terrible, and some of those people, I actually speak to them and I ask them, when was the last time you played the Crew? Oh, 2-3 years ago. Well, you know, things have changed now, and you know what? I don't blame them, because at the end of the day, the initial impression is what has stuck with those people. Those people that initially played the Crew in the first 2 to 3 months of it being released, when it was a hot mess, who then gave up on the game and didn't bother going back to it, you can't blame them for having that type of mindset. And that's the issue we've got here with Payback. Need for Speed Payback should be a celebration of all things great when it comes to Need for Speed. What they should be doing is responding to people's tweets, responding to people's comments on how much they're loving and enjoying the game, which in some cases is actually happening. Loads of people are enjoying the game. I like the game. I think it's pretty damn good. But instead, what they're having to do is fight fires. They're having to put fires out consistently. Now, when those fires are related to bugs in the game, that's normal. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of man hours that has to go into, you know, correcting little anomalies, whether it be small things such as spelling mistakes, black screens, customized parts not loading up, all those things that you normally see in the catchment field when they release the actual patch notes. It could take a while to actually figure out how to rectify those little issues. But what they've done is got themselves into a situation where, because there were initially huge chunks of the game missing, and in some respect, as I've said a few times in this video, there still are, if we talk about the fact that there's no true free roaming cops and no true free roaming multiplayer player, what it does is it gives people who are of a heavily critical nature more ammunition to hammer you with. And by you, I'm talking to you, Ghost. That's what it's done. The Crew 2, I wouldn't be surprised if Ivory Tower have been watching all of this unfold and said, you know what, we don't want no part of this. We don't want no part of none of this heat whatsoever. Let's push our game back a little bit. That was the smartest, most intelligent and wisest thing that they've done. Because if the Crew 2 came out when it was supposed to, which was around about March times, and it was a hot mess, they would be in the exact same situation as you guys. I would have been happier if Ghost had pushed back the release date of Need for Speed Payback. I don't care if they pushed it all the way back to December. I don't care if they pushed it all the way back to January or February 2018. As far as I'm concerned, there is a perfectly understandable excuse for bugs being in the game. It happens with all types of software in all types of fields of computing, whether it be mobile phones, whether it be the software that's put into your dashboard for your car, your sat nav. Software glitches happen. What I cannot make an excuse for are missing what I see as mandatory parts of the game, mandatory components of the game. You've got wheel support now. The damage is done though. The damage is already done. It's already been done by not having it from the start. You've added the RX-7 now. The damage is done by not having it from the start. At some stage, you're probably going to add free roaming multiplayer. The damage is already done. And when I say the damage is done, from a PR perspective, from a media perspective, and as I said, from those people who don't look back after forming an initial impression. First impressions count, and I feel where Ghost have gone wrong with this is not taking that into consideration. And that is all I've got to say about that. So let me know in the comments, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. As always, I am more than interested in knowing. I'm just a guy, that's all I am. I'm just a simple little humble dude that just puts his opinion out every now and again. You know, you may agree with it, you may not agree with it, you may agree with some parts, you may disagree with some parts, who knows what. But what's most interesting to me is what your thoughts are. Share them in the comments section. There will be more Need for Speed Payback coming on the channel. As I said, at its core, I still like the game, I still enjoy the game, but I've got to call a spade when I see it. And like I said, I can't sit there on one hand and bash Gran Turismo for being an unfinished product and then not give Payback the same treatment. It has to have it, I'm sorry. It's a good game at its core, but please, no more releasing games with elements that are missing. Please, no more of that. We need to stop that moving forward. That needs to stop. If you know you can't get important key components of the game ready for your originally scheduled target release date, just push the game back a few months. Just push it back. Yeah, a few people are going to get upset. So bloody what? They're going to buy the game anyway. But what will happen is people will have more respect and be less harsh in their critique if you're able to push out a product which they see as value for money, okay? If it's your first time around here, I wish you a born welcome. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Members of the douchebag squad, my apologies. There will be no douchebag raps this week. My schedule is crazy at the moment. They will be coming next week. But in the meantime, I'll see you when the next video comes out. Take it easy. Peace.